strangest.
Welcome to Our Weird World. I'm your host, John Henson, and today talking about some weird ways that people have died in history. And here's the thing, like, I get that this show is tangentially, adjacently, all about death, right? Like all the true crime stuff, someone got murdered, who did it, or someone did a ton of murdering. Great, yes. We talk about some war stories where tons of people died, massacres where tons of people died. But like, it's not that weird, right? Like, it's tragic, but it's not weird, all right? The three stories that I'm going to cover today, they're weird, all right? These are just weird ways that people have died. We're looking at the lives of Gloria Ramirez, Greg Fleniken, and Egidius Schiffer.
Story time. Story time. Story time. Story time.
I honestly don't even know if I'm saying that name right. He's, I think, German. And so, whatever. Like, I'm just saying it how it looks on the screen. So we're rolling with it. And we are starting in July of 1983 when Egidius Schiffer decided to start murdering people. There were likely some defining events that led up to this point, but there aren't a lot of sources on those because most of them are concentrated on how he died. However, what we do know is that his murdering spree, I guess, began with 18-year-old Marion Garrick, who fought back as best she could before Schiffer eventually overpowered her. He then strangled her, ripped her clothes off, and tossed her dead body into a pond. Over the next 6 years, Schiffer killed 4 more women. Each woman was raped and strangled, earning Schiffer the nickname the Strangler of Aachen. Aachen, I think it's Aachen, being the city in Germany where he operated. However, police had no idea who was behind the strangling of these 5 women. However, in 2007, Schiffer was arrested for stealing scrap metal, and after voluntarily giving a saliva sample, police were totally surprised to find that he was the Strangler of Aachen and charged him with 5 murders. Although initially confessing, Schiffer recanted on the grounds that he was a sadomasochist and just couldn't help himself. Guys, I just can't help myself. I just love strangling the women. It's part of my brain that does not work very correctly. And so because of that, I should not be arrested and sent to prison because there's the sadomasochism in my brain. No, that's not. It's a terrible argument. He also claimed that he only confessed to begin with because the thought of being detained and punished for his crimes, it made him a little horny. As it's part of my sadomasochism, I'm a very bad boy. I'm a very bad boy, Mr. Officer. I want to be punished for these crimes that I definitely did not commit. But I will tell you I committed them just so I can get a little punishment. Okay. Oh, God, this guy's a dork. The German courts, however, did not care about Schiffer's excuses and gave him a life sentence. 11 years later, on July 22nd, 2018, guards at the Bochum Correctional Facility found Schiffer dead in his cell. Now, this is why he's in this episode. The night before, so on July 21st, Schiffer had removed the cable from his bedside lamp, where he then wrapped it around his nipples and penis. So he strips the cord, right? So the live wires of the cable are exposed, wraps them around his nipples and his wiener, and then sticks the live cable into the electrical socket. And so basically he like electric chaired himself, but in like a really erotic way. Which like, I don't get it, man. Like, I get maybe wrapping it around your wiener. The nipples make no sense. Like I would have understood it more if he'd have wrapped it around his wiener and then like stuck one live end into his butthole and then the other live end into the electric. That I get that, right? There's probably all kinds of crazy stuff happening there, but not the nips, man. Not the nips. All right, male nips, most pointless things ever. What you gonna tell me that you can get erotic when you electric? I'm not gonna go find out. All right, I have a very low pain tolerance. None of this sounds interesting to me, but just I don't know. Whatever. You get it. Our next story here. The next two stories are not that erotic. They're actually like really crazy. On February 19th, 1994, 31-year-old Gloria Ramirez was brought to the emergency room at Riverside General Hospital in Riverside, California, where she was suffering from severe heart palpitations. The medical staff quickly moved to sedate her by injecting her with diazepam, midazolam, and lorazepam, which sounds like a great time. All the Pams, all right? I have done a diazepam before. I took one per doctor's orders right before I got my wisdom teeth taken out. It's kind of just to relax the nerves a little bit. And let me tell you, I could not have cared less, right? No nerves whatsoever. I remember just feeling like, yeah, whatever, dude. You know, I popped the diazepam before I left the house. By the time I got to the dentist's office, like it pretty much kicked in. Probably because I took it on an empty stomach, which you're not supposed to do, I don't think, but whatever. And so I only remember like just casually walking back to the operating room or whatever they have in the little dentist office. And I was just like, whatever, man, this is going to be the least painless, whatever, you get it. Like, and like, I didn't even feel them sticking the needle in my arm for the IV. That's how relaxed I was. That is how woo your boy was. Like, I remember looking down, I was like, oh man, this might hurt a little bit. And then she stuck it in. I'm like, oh wow, that didn't hurt at all. This is great. I want to feel like this forever. I haven't felt like that since because I haven't had another surgery. But yeah, so diazepam, big fan. Would like to explore maybe taking some more someday to just not feel anything. That would be great. So anyway, she gets loaded up on the Pams, but Gloria's body did not quite agree with this cocktail. So as doctors and nurses ran the defibrillator, others started noticing this oily sheen just kind of appear all over Gloria's body. Like she had that glow, right? Girl, you're glowing. All right. Well, others noticed this like strange garlicky odor coming out of her mouth. Nurse Susan Kane then tried to draw some blood and began smelling ammonia coming from the vial. So like she's glowing, she's got bad garlic breath, and it smells now like pneumonia in the blood vial where they took blood out of her. Once the blood had been drawn, the nurse gave the vial to Julie Gorczynski, who quickly noticed odd beige particles floating in the blood. And within minutes, both Kane and Gorczynski fainted in this emergency room and were taken out. When a third staff member passed out, everyone was ordered to leave the room and evacuate the rest of the patients on the entire floor down to the parking lot. By the end of the night, Gloria was dead, obviously, due to kidney failure related to the cancer that she was dealing with. I don't know that anybody knew she had cancer when she came in, but she did. Additionally, and here's what's crazy about this, 23 people who came in contact, and like by contact, I mean were in the general vicinity of Gloria's body, got sick, 5 of whom were hospitalized. Worst of all, no one had any idea what was going on here. Doctors Anna Maria Osorio and Kirsten Waller from the California Department of Health and Human Services interviewed the 34 hospital staff that had been working in the emergency room on the night Gloria came in. Doctors Osorio and Waller quickly realized that everyone who had gotten sick had been within 2 feet of Gloria's body and handled her blood work. How 34 different people are handling blood work is crazy. Even more, those that got sick were mostly women, leading Osorio and Waller to conclude that it was all just a big case of mass hysteria, which, way to go. Way to just stand up for your own, ladies. These 2 female doctors were just like, oh, all these women were around it, and then they started fainting. Yeah, I know my sex. Classic hysteria. We just get all worked up and just can't control ourselves, and then we just got to start fainting. Gorczynski, though, Nurse Gorczynski, not appreciating the fact that the entire ordeal was written off simply because women be like that, she pointed to the fact that she had spent 2 weeks in intensive care with severe breathing problems, hepatitis, and a vascular necrosis in her knees because of the incident. I don't know what avascular necrosis is. Based on context, it sounds like the veins in her knees began rotting away. And it was mostly due to this incident with Gloria Ramirez's body, not because she was all hysterical because some, woman was dying in front of her. So the coroner's office got this report and contacted the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, who quickly noted that Gloria had been using dimethyl sulfoxide, a powerful degreaser, as a home cancer remedy. So, remember when colloidal silver was like this, oh yeah, it'll cure your COVID, it'll prevent you. It didn't, all right? It turned people's skin purple and killed them. So for whatever reason, Gloria Ramirez was like, no, I not do. I don't even know if she had an accent. Like, she's in California. She could be completely Americanized. But she was just like, no, I don't want to take the chemotherapy and the radiation for my cancer treatment. I am going to take this dimethyl sulfoxide and clean and degrease my body. Or whatever, right? She's going to take matters into her own hands. And so the lab explained that dimethyl sulfoxide would have, depending on how long she'd been using it, and clearly she'd been using it for a while, would have built up a urinary blockage, which contributed to her kidney failure. It also would have reacted with the oxygen she was given in the emergency room to create dimethyl sulfone, which crystallizes at room temperature, creating the beige particles that were seen floating around her blood. The lab also noted that the electric shocks created by the defibrillator would have then converted the dimethyl sulfoxide into dimethyl sulfate, which is a highly toxic byproduct of sulfuric acid, which would then cause the symptoms that affected the hospital staff. So, all of that is to say that this dingling who was, taking degreaser to fight her cancer essentially just turned herself into this walking chemistry lab where probably what also caused the heart palpitations. So she goes into the emergency room. They run the defibrillator on her. That creates a chemical reaction. The oxygen that she was given created a different chemical reaction, which then, released all of the, the ammonia and sulfur and all that kind of stuff that made everybody sick. While all of this reporting was going on, Gloria's body continued to sit and decompose in a morgue. 2 months later, the coroner's office released it for an independent autopsy, which inconclusively agreed with the Livermore assessment. Basically, the independent autopsy was like, it seems logical. We can't replicate all of that. We don't really want to. We don't all feel like spending weeks in intensive care for this. So we're just going to be like, yeah, probably. Gloria's family disagreed with all of this because of course they would. But the pathologist they hired couldn't reach a conclusion as to what actually happened because by now her heart had disappeared and the rest of her organs had either become too decomposed or were contaminated with fecal matter. 10 weeks after her death, Gloria was finally buried at Olivewood Memorial Park in Riverside, California. Although the New Times LA, which is like this alternative newspaper, tried to assert that hospital staff had accidentally exposed Gloria to meth by mistakenly giving her a contaminated IV bag that they would otherwise be trafficking to drug dealers, the general consensus sides with the Livermore report where she was taking this degreaser and then created her own chemical reaction. But this stupid newspaper, as if this family wasn't suffering enough, this newspaper comes out and was like, no, the hospital in LA is also trafficking meth-filled IV bags to drug dealers, and they accidentally gave it to this woman, and that's what killed. No, shut up. Anyway, our final story here is happened in 2010 when Greg Fleniken was found dead in his hotel room in Beaumont, Texas. The news of Greg's death was understandably devastating because, by all accounts, this dude was very well respected, super loved, and he's just, working in the oil industry, trying to make a living, just doing all the great things. Well, police investigated the hotel room. They looked at, his body, and they only found a small cut on his face. And so they just kind of otherwise assumed that he died of a heart attack. However, when the autopsy came back, the report showed that his innards, his guts, were all kinds of messed up. He had 2 broken ribs, a ruptured heart, which will definitely kill you, and bruises and cuts around his groin. Now, police, probably like you are right now, were really confused by this report. No one had heard any sort of fight or struggle that had taken place inside of his hotel room. A cigarette that had burned out in Greg's hand after he died indicated that he died in the middle of a smoke break. But after some expert sleuthing by private investigator Ken Brennan, police and everybody were finally able to figure out what happened. So, after interviewing everyone who stayed in the hotel that night that he died, one person who was in one of the adjacent rooms reported hearing a loud pop, kind of like a gunshot. Greg's other neighbors in the hotel, 3 electricians sharing the other room adjacent to Greg's, later admitted that they had been drinking and that one of them, Lance Mueller, fired a shot because those are the kinds of things that sound like a good idea when you're drunk inside of a hotel room. That shot went right through the wall that had separated their room from Greg's room. The electricians, after the, how like everything gets crazy quiet after you accidentally shoot a gun because everyone's like, oh my God, why did you just do that? So they said they thought they heard a man coughing in the next room, but figured it was just coincidental and that nothing had happened and that the dude was probably okay. They were actually more concerned about the bullet hole that they had just created in the wall. So, being electricians, they're pretty handy men. They patched the hole with toothpaste, and then they left the hotel and went to a bar, probably to make more bad decisions. Meanwhile, Greg, he wasn't just coughing to clear his throat. He was coughing because, in a weird twist of the worst luck imaginable, he had actually been shot in the balls by this errant bullet from the adjacent room. I still don't understand how this happened, but basically the bullet that was shot, so like imagine you're standing facing the bed in a hotel room, there's that wall, you shoot, the bullet goes through the wall, which I thought those walls were made of concrete, but apparently I don't know what kind of hotel this was, but they shoot through the wall, right? And the bullet goes through the wall into Greg's groin, bounces around his insides, and came to a rest inside of his heart, which is crazy. Mueller, who fired the shot, was eventually sentenced to 10 years in prison for being an idiot, probably. There you go. Weird ways to die in the books. Here's the thing. I probably should have led with this, but whatever. Don't kill yourself. Don't. But if you're going to do it, here's the thing. Honestly, if you're going to do it, leave people with a story. All right? Don't just shoot yourself or, poison yourself with carbon monoxide or overdose on pills. Make it fun. Make it and go out in a blaze of glory where people talk about you for years. And maybe you get into some podcasts like this or something. Anyway, but really though, don't kill yourself. All right. Don't do it. It's going to make a lot of people sad. Even if you think that no one will miss you, people will miss you and they'll be real sad. So, don't do that. Anyway, let's see what we learned today.
What did we learn?
Honestly, people should hire me to do these PSA commercials. Like all the PSAs we got during the Super Bowl, like, stop hate. Yeah, okay, whatever, dork. Like, no, just put me up in front of a camera. Just be like, hey, don't be a dickhead. And then the black screen just like, for a better world, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, number one, what did we learn today? Number one, Egidius Schiffer killed himself by stripping a lamp cord, wrapping it around his nipples and his wiener, and then sticking the live end into the electrical socket. And so, look, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, if you're going to kill yourself, do it. Make it interesting. All right? Go ahead and, get off one more time in the process. I don't care. It's whatever. But, just a crazy way to go about doing it. It reminds me of, it was during one of the Weird Fun Back episodes when another prisoner in San Quentin, or maybe it was Alcatraz, like scraped off all the red dye from playing cards and basically made a homemade bomb with it and blew his own head off in his jail. Like, that's memorable. All right. Do those things. Anyway, number two, listen, if you've got cancer or COVID or some other kind of big illness, don't try to do your home remedies. All right? Like, don't try to do colloidal silver or any kind of horse tranquilizer or other kinds of cleaning products, because it's all chemicals, right? Like, you're still putting chemicals in your body. That's what medicine is. So, I don't know, but at least medicine is definitely tested to treat the thing that's wrong with you, not other kinds of chemicals that were designed and tested to clean things and not clean out your insides, but clean your stove or something. Anyway, don't be an idiot. And then number three, Greg Fleniken, maybe the unluckiest person alive, just chilling in his hotel room, smoking a ciggy, just, having a dart, and just all of a sudden he gets shot in the balls and dies.
What did we learn?
Next week on Our Weird World, we're continuing our theme of death, and next week it is death by internet. 4 people from history who used the internet and then died because of it for a variety of reasons. Next week's going to be a fun episode. All right. Especially, there's one story in here especially that I am excited to share with you. Good. Oh God, so stupid. And the people involved definitely got what they deserved. So next week, death by internet. Thank you so much for continuing to listen. Keep telling all your friends and keep it weird.
This is a podcast